For MSO Sports, I'm Tim Kearns, and this is the Coach's File, brought to you by Big Jim's Auto Body, 19 Creek Street in Beverly, for the best auto body attention in the area. Give Jamie Zarella a call at 978-927-3201. Joining me today is a face a lot of people will recognize. It's Jim Unis.
What's happening?
How you been, buddy?
Good, man. Good
We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, forever.
You know, and we still have our customary greeting where we try to rip each other's hands off.
That's right.
See who can sustain the handshake.
Yeah.
And and even though we hadn't seen each other in a number of years, heading into this fall school year, we still remembered the greeting, and we went right at it.
That's right. Right into it.
Some things never change in that sense, but for you, the changes came fast and furious after you graduated. Gloucester High School, you made the Army All-America team. You got an opportunity to play with Will Blackman from Rhode Island. Many people will still remember the night that the athletic department gave to you guys as a send-off to that game, and then the subsequent truncated career at Boston College, where you were one of the probably earlier players to fall victim to the concussion syndrome. Okay, and then of course another path was taken by you. So let's talk about that path to BC and then out of BC.
Okay, big question, an important question. Yeah, so coming out to high school, graduating in 2002, was recruited by every school in the country. Was blessed enough to have gone to a school like Gloucester High School and have amazing coaches like Terry Silver and Paul Ingram and great teachers like yourself, and was looking at a potential NFL career that was projected. Coming out of the All-American game of leaving, I could potentially leaving in after my sophomore year, and so that was kind of the framework going into college. Play as a true freshman, have immediate success and impact. Everything was moving in that direction, and coming into sophomore year, as for many folks who might be listening know, going to sophomore camp, I'm slated to start as a true sophomore. And I take my fourth concussion in 7 months. And overall, I think it was number 7. And the symptoms that I was showing, they said, listen, I talked to Dr. Cantu, who's a big wig and a major voice in this field, and he said, listen, Jim, you're a smart kid. If you continue to play football, you risk having permanent brain damage. So at that point, it's pretty clear what I needed to do. I gave it up. I hung up the pads and had to stop playing. That kind of brought me to the crossroads of kind of who am I now? What do I do? And you just let me know. I want me to just kind of continue with
what has happened in between leaving BC and coming back to Gloucester High School, which I felt was just simply a great move for the school, system, for the athletics at Gloucester High School, and I'm sure that's a sentiment that was shared by a lot of people in the school, in the town, that you came home, and I think you are a very recognizable figure within the community because of the notoriety you gained through not only your athletics but your academic accomplishments as well. So kind of fill us in of where you have been, real quick.
Yeah, real quick. So for me, most of my life has been shaped around helping those who are kind of in vulnerable situations. Social justice is something that's really near and dear to my heart, including faith. So I stopped playing football. I grew strong in my faith. I grew strong in my convictions around kind of giving back. I mean, none of us get here on our own. You didn't, I didn't, and so it's important that you help out in the small way that any one of us can. So I leave Boston College, kind of commitment to urban education. I spent a number of years teaching in Boston and coaching, spent a little bit of time at the higher education level, and then most recently spent time managing a faith-based nonprofit working with juvenile offenders and gang-involved youth. And so that's a lot of my history. So I'm working in like Lynn and Boston and Lawrence and those kinds of communities that have so many great things happening, but they also deal with issues that are different than maybe the issues we deal with at Gloucester. I have a child when you have kids, your priorities change. We moved back home and really felt a shift in wanting to pour into the community that gave me so much, and was thinking about what would be the best way to do that. And I felt like teaching was a way for me to do that and have an impact. In addition to teaching, I'm also a pastor. I'm an associate pastor at a church in Raleigh. So you might catch me preaching and yelling from the pulpit once a month. It probably doesn't sound too different than the locker room speeches sometimes, but so do that as well, and have a little small business, like a personal training kind of life coach business as well, that I'm kind of doing locally. So.
How did the opportunity come to get back in Gloucester High School?
So, I moved back about a year ago, and it's been, so while I was still managing, kind of traveling throughout New England, doing that kind of work, I was just plugging in locally and asking questions around where's the need, where do I want to be, where do I feel like I should be, all that kind of stuff. And I remember talking to Cook last fall about what opportunities were here.
And that's James Cook, the principal.
James Cook, yes, James Cook, and maybe go administration or in the classroom. And I have a credential in history. I've taught history before. I have a credential in PE and in health, and this was the opportunity that presented itself. I love being here. Love seeing you. Love seeing the kids. It's a whole other feel. Working in communities where they're, cities and towns, or cities rather, that are about 80,000 or more, 100,000 or more. Boston clearly is more than that, close to 1 million. You have to create community. You have to build trust. When you work in the community you were raised, it's already there.
Yeah.
And I know, I see these kids and they're like, my kids, and I know their parents and they're friends of the family or they're related to me, and so you can go where you need to go quicker in that kind of an environment. Yeah. I've been given so much. It's time to give back. That's it.
Jim, I have to tell you, I retired in June of 17,
yeah.
But I was one of the happiest people to hear that you were coming back to Gloucester High School,
yeah.
Because of what you meant in the past. And I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit,
yeah.
But I still tell people that I meet when I talk about the great kids that went through Gloucester High School, and I talk about you and your athletic and your academic accomplishments. But the one deed that always stood out to me and said the most about you was the fact that you spent your lunch in the cafeteria sitting with the special ed kids.
Yeah.
And coming into the cafeteria and seeing those kids looking up to you because they knew who you were.
Yeah.
And it wasn't important for you to be with your teammates.
Yeah.
It was really important to you to be with those kids.
Yeah.
To show them that they mattered.
Yeah.
And give them something to really tie into. And I always say that is the greatest testament that I could give to you as an individual.
Yeah.
And I still tell that story, and I will continue to tell that story because not enough people know that particular episode in your life that speaks so much to Jim Unis, the individual, who I've been very privileged to know. I got to know you on the athletic level, the academic level, but that personal action by you speaks more than anything else that, to me, you'll ever accomplish.
Yeah.
And I want to commend you on that.
Well, let me just say thank you. And as you share that, I fill up more because of the privilege and what I receive from that. In a lot of ways, like, this athlete helping students who are of this population, special needs and whatnot. But what I get from that, forget about it. It's why wouldn't I want to? And I know I say that knowing that everyone isn't in that space, but I think that is a space we all should move to. And I've been blessed with incredible parents. I've been blessed, and let me say thank you to you with teachers and coaches like yourself, Kearns, and the Moores of the world, and Silver and Ingram and Sullivan before that, and a community that has values and instills values in the students and in the athletes and the young. We're not perfect, but no place is. We have a lot to be grateful for here, and I'm a product of that. So when I say that, whenever I'm commended by anything, that's what you should do. I don't know, there's a lot of, you got to be careful with shoulds, but for me, that's what you do. You give back.
right, Jim, we're going to cut it here. We're going to talk again. We're going to talk high school sports. We'll talk some pro sports in the days to come, because I'm going to be here every now and
There
then.
you go.
You know, I'm not here all the time, but the time that I am in here, either as a sub or just visiting, it's moments you cherish. Because I run into you, I run into my former colleagues, I run into
No, it's
former
great,
students,
yeah.
and that tie, that bond that you still maintain is critical, and you spoke
is.
so eloquently to it. So Jim, welcome home.
Thank you. Great to
Okay.
be home. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.